Have you ever wondered why certain words arrive in your life at the exact moment you need them most? Not a second earlier, not a second later, but precisely when your soul feels like it can no longer carry the weight. Imagine a traveler walking through a desert at night. The sand is cold, the stars stretch endlessly above, and every step feels heavier than the last. He believes he is lost, abandoned, unseen. Yet just as his strength begins to fade, he notices a faint light flickering on the horizon. He doesn't know if it is a fire, a lantern, or simply a star closer to Earth, but something within him whispers, "Keep walking. This light is for you. That traveler is you. That light is this very message, and it did not appear here by chance." You see, life has a way of speaking to us in whispers when we least expect it. The heartbreaks, the nights when your chest feels like it will collapse from the weight of loneliness, the moments where you question if you will ever belong, all of it has been guiding you here. Not to punish you, but to awaken you. To remind you that the very things you thought made you weak are in fact the proof that your soul carries something rare, something sacred. This video is not for everyone. It finds only those whose spirit has been crying out for meaning. And if these words resonate in your chest like an echo of something you've always known, it's because they were meant for you. What if I told you that your deepest pain is not a mistake, but a sign? What if the very sensitivity you've been trying to hide is the key to unlocking why you are here? You are about to discover why your journey has felt so heavy, why the world seems so different through your eyes, and why, despite the emptiness, you have never truly been alone. And it begins with a truth that has been waiting for you all along. You've felt it, haven't you? That strange sensation that life is trying to speak to you, but not with words. Sometimes it happens in the quiet of the night, when you dream the same dream over and over again. The faces may change, the details may blur, but the feeling is the same. A message just beyond reach, as if your soul is trying to remind you of something you've forgotten. You wake up with your heart racing, unable to shake the sense that it wasn't just a dream, but a whisper from somewhere beyond. Other times, it's in the numbers. You glance at the clock, and it's 11:11 again. You're driving down the road, and the license plate in front of you repeats the same sequence you've been seeing all week. 333, 777, 999. At first, you shrug it off. Coincidence, you tell yourself. But when the same numbers follow you into receipts, phone calls, street signs, even the total of your groceries, a deeper question begins to stir inside. What if this is not random? What if this is a code, a hidden language trying to reach me? There are days when your body feels it too. A sudden chill runs down your spine when no window is open. A heaviness in your chest arrives just as you're about to make a decision. A ringing in your ears comes and goes without explanation, as if tuning into a frequency that only your soul can hear. You might even feel a surge of energy, goosebumps covering your skin, right in the middle of an ordinary moment, walking through a grocery aisle, scrolling through your phone, or sitting alone in silence. These are not accidents. They are signals. And then there are the invisible pulls. That intuition that tells you not to go down a certain street, only to later discover there was an accident there. The sudden thought of a person you haven't spoken to in years, followed by their unexpected call. The overwhelming sense of déjà vu, as if you've stood in this exact place, lived this exact second before. Something inside you whispers, "Pay attention." Most people ignore these signs. They chalk them up to luck, chance, or the quirks of the mind. But deep down, you know better. You can feel that life is weaving something larger, that your pain, your longing, your questions have been part of a much bigger pattern all along. While others rush through their days blind to these signals, you notice them, you feel them. And sometimes it makes you wonder, why me? Why do I see what others can't? The truth is that this awareness is not a curse. It's not a burden placed on you by mistake. It's a gift that can feel heavy at times, yes, but one that marks you as someone who is meant to walk a different path. Those restless nights, those moments of loneliness where you feel like no one understands, they are not signs of weakness. They are evidence that your soul is awake, and awake souls cannot live as if nothing is happening around them. But here is where the mystery deepens. If all these signs are real, if this hidden language has been reaching for you again and again, then the question is no longer whether you are being guided. The question is, guided toward what? What if the struggles, the repeated patterns, the unanswered prayers were not obstacles at all, but breadcrumbs leading you to a revelation that could change everything you thought you knew about your life? All the signs you've noticed, those repeating dreams, the mysterious numbers, the chills that strike without warning, are not fragments of coincidence. They are part of an ancient conversation between the invisible and the visible, between your soul and the source that created it. For centuries, mystics, prophets, and seekers have spoken about this secret language, though most people have been too distracted or too afraid to hear it. Today you are being allowed to see behind the veil. The first great sign, the one that so many of you have already encountered, is the sign of patterns that repeat until you awaken. In ancient texts, this was called the whisper of eternity. It is the way the divine ensures you cannot ignore the truth. When you see numbers repeating, 1111, 333, 777, it is not mathematics at play. It is alignment. In Hebrew tradition, numbers carried the voice of God. The Psalms themselves are coded with numerical patterns, each one layered with meaning. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus speaks of forgiving 70 times 7, not as random instruction, but as a sacred equation revealing infinity through repetition. Numbers are not cold facts. They are vibrations, echoes of a deeper order. Think about it. The universe is built on rhythm. The planets orbit in perfect cycles. The tides move with the pull of the moon. Your very heartbeat is a drum, repeating endlessly to keep you alive. So when you notice repeating numbers, repeating dreams, repeating struggles, it is the universe echoing itself into your awareness, saying, "Wake up, pay attention. Something is aligning, but there is more." Beyond numbers, the repetition shows up in your life lessons. Have you ever wondered why the same type of heartbreak seems to find you again and again? Why the same kind of betrayal repeats itself in different faces? Why certain fears circle back no matter how hard you try to run? This is not bad luck. It is initiation. Until the soul learns, the universe repeats. Until the spirit awakens, the same lesson returns, each time louder, closer, impossible to ignore. This is the first secret. The repetition of signs is not punishment, it is preparation. It is how heaven carves pathways into the human heart, teaching you what you refuse to hear in whispers by allowing you to face it in storms. The ancients knew this. The desert fathers of Christianity believed that temptations returned in cycles because the soul was being sharpened like a blade. The mystics of Sufism spoke of returning tests, where the student meets the same wall until he learns to walk through it instead of around it. And you, yes, you who are hearing these words, your repeating patterns are not proof that you are cursed. They are proof that you are chosen to see what most never see. They are invitations. Every number, every dream, every ache in your chest is the universe calling you closer. Picture it like this. You are walking in a vast forest, unsure of the way. Suddenly you see stones placed along the path, one after another, each guiding you deeper in. If you ignored them, you'd wander endlessly. But if you followed them, you'd find the hidden clearing, the place you were always meant to reach. That is what your signs are. Stones placed in your forest, drawing you toward the destiny written for your soul before you were even born. And isn't it curious? The very moments you've tried to silence or deny, your sleepless nights, your inexplicable tears, the random coincidences, are the exact keys that unlock the doorway to your true purpose. The world told you to dismiss them, to call them illusions, to numb yourself to them, but deep down you always knew they meant something, that knowing inside of you is not madness, it is memory. Memory of the soul, remembering the covenant it made with the divine long before you took your first breath. So let this sink in. When the numbers repeat, when the dreams return, when the pain circles back into your life, you are not failing. You are being called to see, called to awaken, called to finally ask, what is it that I must learn? This is why you were guided here, because your patterns are about to break, not by force, but by understanding. Because once you recognize the language, you are no longer a prisoner of it. You become a participant, a translator of the divine whisper, and that changes everything. If these words are vibrating in your heart right now, if you feel as though this message was written with your life in mind, it's because you were meant to hear it. You are not wandering without purpose. You are being prepared for something extraordinary. Pause for a moment. Breathe. Think about the signs that have been chasing you, those numbers, those dreams, those uncanny coincidences. They were never accidents. They were the handwriting of God, etched into the moments you thought were meaningless. And if he went to such lengths to speak to you in ways no one else would notice, then imagine what he must be preparing you for. You are part of something greater. You always have been. And if you are ready to continue receiving these revelations, I invite you to like this video and subscribe so you can stay close to this circle of seekers, this community where truths that the world ignores are finally spoken. Together, we are more than viewers. We are a family of souls who see what others cannot. But before you can truly step into this circle, there is another mystery you must uncover. One that goes beyond numbers, beyond repeating patterns, a truth so profound it explains why your deepest wounds carry the map to your highest purpose. There was a woman named Sarah. On the surface, she lived what many would call a normal life. She had a steady job, a small apartment, a routine that seemed ordinary enough, but inside she carried an invisible heaviness, a loneliness that no one around her could see. She smiled at her co-workers, laughed when expected, but every night when she returned home, she felt the same ache in her chest. It was as if her life was missing a piece she could not name. For years, Sarah dismissed this emptiness as fatigue, stress, or simply the way life is. But then something began to happen. Strange at first, almost playful, like the universe was tugging gently at her sleeve. It started with numbers. One night she woke at exactly 3:33 a.m. Her heart was racing, but she couldn't say why. The following day, she saw the same numbers on a receipt, then again on a billboard, then again glowing on her phone screen at random moments. She tried to shrug it off. Coincidence, she whispered to herself, though deep down something stirred. Not long after, the dreams began. Vivid, repeating dreams. In them, she was always walking through a hallway lined with doors, some open, some closed. She never remembered what was behind them, but she always woke with the feeling that she had been given a choice, one she still hadn't made. And then came the voice. Not a loud voice, not even a sound she could describe. It was more like a current of thought, so clear it could not be mistaken as her own. One morning, as she was rushing out the door, she felt it. Slow down. Just 2 words. She ignored it, hurried to her car, and narrowly avoided a terrible accident at the intersection down the street. By then, she could no longer dismiss the signs. They had moved from the abstract into the undeniable. Something, or someone, was speaking to her. Sarah's turning point came on a rainy afternoon. She was sitting in a cafe, staring out the window, wondering why she always felt different from everyone else. That was when an old man she had never seen before sat at the table beside her. He had kind eyes, the kind that seemed to look straight into her soul. Without any introduction, he said softly, "You're not broken. You're being prepared." Her breath caught in her throat. She hadn't told anyone about the signs, not even her closest friend. But somehow this stranger had spoken the exact words she needed most. When she turned to ask him who he was gone. The chair was empty. That moment shattered her disbelief. She realized she was not lost. She was being guided. Every repeated number, every dream, every ache in her chest had been part of a hidden dialogue leading her to that encounter. It was as if the universe itself had conspired to remind her, "You are seen, you are needed, you are not alone." From that day forward, Sarah paid attention. When the numbers appeared, she paused and asked what her soul was trying to tell her. When the dreams returned, she wrote them down, searching for patterns. When her intuition whispered, she listened. Slowly, her life began to change. She stopped living on autopilot and started living with awareness. Opportunities opened. People entered her life who resonated with her in ways she had never thought possible. The emptiness began to fade, not because the pain disappeared, but because she understood that the pain had meaning. Sarah's story is not unique. It could be yours. It could be the story of anyone who dares to listen instead of dismissing. The signs are not reserved for the saints or the prophets of old. They are here, right now, speaking to you as clearly as they spoke to her. The question is not whether they exist, but whether you are ready to see them for what they are. And this is where your journey becomes personal. Think back. Have you had moments like Sarah, a dream that refused to leave you, numbers that followed you through your days, a voice, a feeling, a coincidence too precise to ignore? I want you to share it. Leave a comment with the signs or experiences you've lived. Tell me about the dream, the number, the whisper you couldn't explain. I read what you write, and in the next videos, I may mention your story, because your experience could be the key that helps someone else finally recognize their own. But Sarah's journey did not end with signs. The signs were only the doorway. Beyond them was a deeper truth, one that revealed why her wounds were not accidents, but sacred preparations. And if you dare to follow this thread, you will discover that your darkest nights may hold the map to your brightest destiny. If the first secret was about repetition, the cycles and patterns that echo until your soul awakens, the second secret is even closer. It is so intimate, so woven into your daily life that most people overlook it completely. This is the secret of the heart's whispers, the emotions and sensations that rise within you, often at the most unexpected times, guiding you with a language that needs no words. Think about it. How many times have you felt a sudden weight in your chest right before making a decision? How many times have you walked into a room and immediately sensed the tension, even before anyone spoke? How many times have you felt tears welling up for reasons you couldn't explain, or a sudden warmth flooding your body in moments of stillness? These are not random feelings. They are the compass of your soul. Ancient teachers believed that the heart was not merely an organ of flesh, but a vessel of divine intelligence. In the Bible, Proverbs says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." In the teachings of mystics from every tradition, the heart is described as the throne where the eternal meets the human. The second great sign is that your heart speaks in sensations, and those sensations are not illusions. They are instructions. But how do you recognize them? The world has taught us to silence our emotions, to numb ourselves with noise, distraction, and logic. We are told to be reasonable, to ignore our feelings, to bury them deep. And yet, when you listen carefully, your heart carries messages that the mind cannot translate. Here is a simple practice, a way to begin understanding this second secret in your own life. Pause and breathe. Whenever you face confusion or whenever a strange sensation arises, stop. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, slow and deliberate. Feel your chest rise and fall. Locate the feeling. Place your hand on your heart. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is it heaviness, warmth, tightness, a strange calm? Ask the question. Silently, direct your question into that space. What is this trying to tell me? Do not force the answer. Do not try to think your way into it. Simply allow the feeling to be and notice what thought, memory, or image arises naturally. Listen without judgment. Sometimes the answer comes as a whisper, not this way. Other times it comes as a vision of a face or a sudden knowing that you cannot explain. Trust it. The heart speaks in symbols, not paragraphs. Confirm with peace. Here is the key. When the message is true, your body will confirm it with peace. You may still feel nervous about the action ahead, but beneath the surface will be a deep stillness, a resonance that feels like alignment. If what you sense brings confusion or chaos, pause again. The true voice of the heart never contradicts peace. This technique may feel simple, but it is powerful. Over time, you will begin to notice that the strange heaviness before making a choice is not random. It is protection. That sudden burst of warmth when you meet someone new is not just attraction, it is recognition. That ache in your chest when you think of a certain path is not weakness. It is your soul saying, "This is not for you." Do you see how the second secret works? The universe does not only send you signs in the outer world, numbers, dreams, coincidences. It also plants them directly within you, in the temple of your own body. Your emotions, your physical sensations, your heart's whispers are coded messages from the divine. This is why so many people who ignore their emotions live lives that feel empty. They are cutting themselves off from the very map they were given. But when you begin to listen, when you dare to believe that your heart knows more than your mind, you will notice that doors open, paths clear, and the confusion that once tormented you begins to dissolve. Let me give you an example. A man once shared that he had been offered 2 jobs. One paid more, offered prestige, and looked perfect on paper. The other was smaller, humbler, but it stirred something inside him. He couldn't explain it, but every time he thought of the first job, he felt his chest tighten. Every time he thought of the second, he felt lighter, freer. Against all logic, he chose the second job. Years later, he discovered that the first company collapsed in scandal, while the second led him to friendships and opportunities that shaped his destiny. The heart knew what the mind could not. This is the power of the second secret. Your heart is not betraying you, it is guiding you. Now take a moment, reflect on your own life. Can you remember a time when your heart tried to speak to you through an ache, a calm, a sudden intuition, and you either listened or ignored it? What happened? How would things have been different if you had trusted that voice? I want you to practice this. Tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your chest and simply ask, what am I not hearing? What truth have I been ignoring? Write down whatever rises. It might surprise you. It might even change everything. If this message is resonating with you, if you feel like it is awakening something deep within, I invite you to join our circle, like this video, and subscribe to be part of this community of seekers, this hidden family of souls, learning to see what others overlook. Together, we are reclaiming the language of the spirit, step by step. But know this. There is a sign even deeper than numbers, even deeper than the whispers of the heart. A sign that almost no one recognizes, yet it is the most powerful of all. It is hidden in silence, in the space between worlds, and it has the power to transform everything you thought you knew about yourself. There is a sign more powerful than numbers repeating in your path, greater than dreams that whisper through the night, deeper even than the stirrings of the heart. It is the sign that arrives in silence, The kind of silence that doesn't just lack sound, but rearranges your very being. This is the third and greatest revelation, the sign of stillness. It is not the silence you hear when a room is empty. It is not the pause between words in conversation. It is the stillness that descends when the veil between the seen and the unseen grows thin, when time itself seems to stop and the universe leans in close to breathe its secret into your soul. You may have felt it without understanding it. That sacred hush right before something life-changing happened. The moment before a loved one passed away, when the air thickened and you knew, even before the phone rang, that their spirit had gone home. The instant before you made a decision that would alter your destiny, when everything around you fell into a strange quiet and you could feel eternity pressing against your chest. Ancient prophets described it as the voice of God in the whisper of the wind. Mystics called it the Great Pause. In quantum physics, it has been mirrored in the idea of the zero-point field, the infinite silence out of which all matter emerges, the womb of creation itself. Across traditions, across time, the teaching remains the same. Silence is not empty. Silence is alive. When you experience this kind of stillness, you're touching the threshold of eternity. The body knows it. The hairs on your arms rise, your breath slows, and your heart feels as if it has entered another rhythm altogether. It is as though heaven itself is leaning into your world, asking if you are ready to hear. And here is the mystery. In that stillness, answers are given. Not always in words, not always in visions. Sometimes the answer is the peace that rushes in where fear once lived. Sometimes it is the courage to step into the unknown, carried by a calm that no logic can explain. This is why so many saints and seekers went into the desert, into caves, into monasteries, to find this silence. They knew that beyond the noise of the world, there was a deeper frequency, a holy frequency, and it is waiting for you, not far away, but here, right now, in the very core of your soul. Pause and ask yourself, when was the last time you allowed yourself to truly be still? No music, no distractions, no voices but your own heartbeat. If you dare to enter that space, you will begin to notice that the silence is not silent at all. It vibrates. It carries presence. It holds you. And this is the great secret. The silence is God's language. Numbers are His symbols. Dreams are His metaphors. The heart is His temple. But silence is His voice. This is why, in Scripture, Elijah did not find God in the fire or the earthquake or the storm, but in the gentle whisper. And it is why Jesus Himself often withdrew into the wilderness alone, seeking not the noise of the crowd, but the stillness where He could commune directly with the Father. And here you are, living in a world addicted to noise, distraction, and endless motion. Yet, against all odds, your soul is awakening to the truth that the deepest sign of all is waiting in the one place you've been taught to avoid, the quiet. If you are feeling this, if something inside you is resonating as you hear these words, I ask you, take a moment and support this mission. Subscribe to this channel and like this video. Not because of algorithms or numbers, but because every subscription strengthens this circle. Every like sends out a ripple of light into a world drowning in shadows. This community is not built on profit. It is built on passion, on faith, on the burning desire to bring forgotten truths back to life. When you join, you are not just a viewer. You are part of a family that sees beyond the veil. Now imagine this. One day you wake and feel a calm so profound it almost frightens you. The silence seems alive, as if the air itself is holding you. And in that stillness, you realize something breathtaking, that every loss, every tear, every unanswered question has been leading you not away from God, but into His presence. That silence was never absence. It was the embrace you could not yet recognize. This is the climax of awakening, to know that you are not wandering in the dark, but walking in a dialogue too sacred for human words. The silence is proof you are not alone. It is the eternal hand resting over your soul, reminding you that even when the world falls apart, you are still held, still guided, still loved beyond measure. But there is one final truth, one last revelation waiting beyond this silence. It is the reason you were chosen to hear these words, the reason your life has carried both pain and promise. And once you understand it, you will never see yourself or your journey the same way again. Every sign we have spoken of, the repeating numbers, the dreams that will not let you go, the whispers of your heart, the silence that carries the voice of eternity, has been calling you for one reason: to awaken you. Not to awaken you into fear, not to make you feel different or alien from the rest of the world, but to remind you of the sacred truth you were born carrying. You are more than flesh and bones. You are a soul. A soul that chose to come here at this precise moment in history, with all its chaos and confusion, because you carry something the world desperately needs. Think about that for a moment. Every tear you cried, every loss that broke you, every lonely night when you wondered if your prayers would ever be heard, they were not wasted. They were shaping you. They were chiseling your heart into a vessel that could hold more compassion, more wisdom, more light. You were not meant to be numb. You were meant to feel deeply, to see the patterns others ignore, to sense the presence that others dismiss. That sensitivity you once thought of as weakness is the very evidence that you are awake. And an awake soul is a dangerous thing in a sleeping world. Dangerous because it cannot be controlled by fear, by illusions, by lies. The truth is this: you were never lost. You were being guided. Those signs were not coincidences. They were breadcrumbs placed along your path to lead you right here, right now, to this moment of remembrance. And now you know that you are not broken. You know that your wounds were not punishments, but preparations. You know that silence is not absence, but presence in its purest form. You know that you are not alone, because even in your loneliest nights, heaven has been whispering to you in dreams, numbers, sensations, and stillness. And here is the most important part. This awakening is not just for you. The light you carry is not meant to be hidden. You were called to rise not only for your own healing, but to remind others that they too are loved, guided, and chosen. Imagine how many people around you are wandering through the dark right now, unaware of the signs in their own lives. Imagine how their lives could change if someone, you, shined a light on their path. This is your mission: to live awake, to live aware, to live as proof that even in a world that feels fractured, the soul can rise, the heart can heal, and the silence can sing. So take this message to heart. Hold it close, and if you feel it stirring something deep within you, I invite you to step even closer to this circle of souls. Like this video and subscribe to the channel, not for numbers, not for profit, but because every single voice matters, every single presence strengthens this community. When you do, you're not just supporting content. You are joining a movement, a family that refuses to sleepwalk through life, a circle that listens to the whispers others ignore. And I want something more personal from you. In the comments, write your name and your city. Let this be more than just a video. Let it be a gathering place where souls connect across distance, across borders, across time. In the next video, I will read some of your names and cities, sending out blessings and greetings so that you know you are truly seen. This is not just my voice, it is our voice rising together. Take a breath. Feel your chest rise and fall. In this simple moment, know that you are alive for a reason. You are needed, you are loved, and you are exactly on time. Because this moment of remembrance, this stirring in your heart, this fire in your soul, is not the end. It is the beginning. The signs you have received are only the first sparks. Ahead of you lies a flame brighter than anything you have yet imagined. And soon, very soon, you will see that all of this, every number, every whisper, every silence, has been preparing you for a revelation far greater than you could ever put into words. The world is waiting for you, and the greatest mystery of all is only just beginning.